Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, YouTubers around the world. I'm your host, Nasty888, and today is the patch day. We have the two new civs added to the game. We have the Knights Templar, and we have the House of Lancaster. So without further ado, we are going to be first getting into these civs, looking at the tech trees, seeing what they do. I haven't looked at any of these yet, except until just now. So we're gonna just like kind of go over what the abilities are and stuff, or what the new technologies are they have in the civs, and like what do I think they're how I think they're gonna affect how good they're gonna be in FFA, stuff like that. So let's start with the Knights Templar here. We've got this is the French variant civ, I believe, and it has so it's founded to protect the meek and the weary. Knights Templar commanderies, blah blah blah. We don't. It's not really, but they make these fortresses. They're different from keeps, and we'll talk more about that later. So they establish these commanderies, and they age up at the town center by establishing one of three commanderies. So here's our commanderies. You can choose from three choices for each age up. And the first age up, there's one, your military units produce faster, cost a tiny bit less gold. Melee units give 10% damage. And then the third one is increase the health of all civilian units and increase healing from all sources. Now, for this first age up, I imagine this one's going to be like the go-to, right? Like 10% more damage. 5% less gold is, I mean, obviously that's good in FFA, but it's not that much gold. And 50% faster if you want to rush your opponent down. You could do that too. I suppose they all kind of work. This one, I think, if you want to train the more elite units later and keep them alive, kind of like a OOTD kind of playstyle, this might be the right jam for you. But I don't know about this one being very useful. More health on your civs, unless you're going like a villager only challenge or something. I don't know why that would be very useful. All right, so then for the next age up, for age 3, your pilgrims, we'll talk about the pilgrims later too. Those can generate more gold. They're like your trader replacements, but they go to the sacred sites instead of a trade outpost. And then the units can, if you build near the sacred site, maybe this would be nice to have. They gain 20% damage and regenerate health if they're near a sacred site. I don't know what the area effect on that is going to be. That'll probably depend on whether or not you actually ever consider that. And then this last one, your fortresses and docks will gain 30% extra health. That one probably going to be useful if you're not going to be relying on either of these two. Obviously, if there's somebody building in the middle, maybe you want to just go for that one. But this one could be really nice because you're probably going to be getting a lot of these fortresses, which we'll talk more about later as well. H4. Obviously, any unit costs gold, gains 2 melee armor. That's gonna be great because a lot of these units actually do cost gold, and we'll talk about that. The other two options here are reduces the change in the. I don't know what this exactly means. I'm not understanding the wording here, guys, on this one, but I think it means you're trading at a better rate, which is really really good potentially. I don't know how that impacts as you do each trade. If it's still gonna get worse and worse with each trade, I think, but the base, at least the base sell price will be a lot better. So we'll have to test that one out and see if that one's any good. But right now, this one seems pretty good. This one, obviously, if you want to go into cavalry, it's going to be amazing. 10% health and 50% charge damage. And okay, so here's the defensive scheme. So fortresses replace keeps and are available in the feudal age. So you can build a fortress in the feudal age, which is insane. Now, ranged units positioned near a fortress have 15% increased attack range. Now this is pretty amazing because unlike the English, version of this, that's an increased attack speed, 15 attack range. Sounds like you could, siege down from very, very far. Your opponent, if you're trying to, build forward in their base or something with a fortress, it would be very effective. And stone walls placed within the influence actually will have more health, and they will actually gain a default arrow. So this is like having an arrow slit, I believe, on your wall, which sounds insane. I think you could like build a wall into somebody's base, and I'm not sure if each tile has its own arrow or how that works, but that sounds possibly quite insane to do like an early rush with a wall. But we'll have to see how that works. I'm not sure. So fortresses we have as landmarks, but can be fully destroyed. I don't know if this means how this is going to affect FFA. If this means that you're going to have to destroy enemy players all their fortresses in order to eliminate them. Possibly is what I'm reading here, but I don't know if that's true. You might just have to destroy that. It kind of makes sense because if you only have the town center, that's a huge weakness in FFA, I guess in any mode, right? Because if you lose all your landmarks in any mode, you're gonna die. So hopefully, these fortresses would count as landmarks. I'm not sure if you have an infinite number of them, though. That would be kind of crazy. That might be a little bit overpowered as a victory condition, but we'll see. Now, pilgrimage. So instead of having the traders, you don't have traders as a civ, which is kind of weird. You have these pilgrims, but they go towards the sacred site instead. They travel towards the sacred site from the Templar headquarters, wherever you place it, and they're gonna get gold when they arrive, based on the distance travel, just like a trader. But they're gonna go towards the sacred site. So to me, in FFA, I don't really like this idea because you can't really protect your travel distance to the sacred site very well typically. Sure, maybe if you get lucky, if no one spawns near you and you have a free access point to the sacred site, you could like protect it, you could wall it, whatever. Then it could be nice, but I don't see it in most FFA games, right? Like it's kind of very luck dependent, but we'll see. Now the Knights Templar, they do not wield gunpowder on the field, but have powerful technologies to improve their melee units. So they don't have gunpowder. They don't have hand cannoneers. They don't have. I'm guessing that's what that means. They don't have They don't have those. They probably don't have in their siege workshop. They don't have cannons or anything. So that's kind of awkward, right? But they're other unit. They have a lot of unique units here. We're gonna go into those. So we can start here in the barracks. We can see some of these unique units. So we have the normal spearmen. Now this says knight, but keep in mind this is not actually a knight. This is it's kind of confusing. This is actually an infantry unit. It has good damage. It's tough and it heals friendly units, which is interesting. I don't know how it's an area effect or just one at a time, but we'll see about that. The sergeant is this also costs gold. All these cost gold. More gold than food here actually on this one, and this one is a little bit more food than gold. But this is like just it's a man at arms that throws axes. Instead. So that's kind of cool. I'm curious to see how that works. Strong against melee units, weak against ranged. Then we have normal men at arms as well. And we have heavy spearmen. And heavy spearmen is basically like a spearman that looks like it costs gold instead of wood. And it's an even stronger version of the spearman, right? And that's about it. Maybe a little more tanky. But we'll see. We'll see how that works. There's also a couple of unique, Imperial units, the Teutonic Knight, which is a powerful and expensive infantry unit that lowers the armor of nearby enemy units. So you probably want to have at least one of these in your army in the end game, if not a handful, just to keep this aura going to reduce the armor. Very useful. And then it costs a lot of gold. This one costs only gold, and it is a fast infantry unit that deals more and takes less damage from gunpowder units. So it's like an anti-hand cannoneer type of unit, which is very interesting. I don't really see it being used unless your opponent is only going hand cannoneers or something like that, or only janissaries or whatever. Then it could make sense, but it's so much gold that I don't know. I don't really see it unless you have a ton of spare gold. We'll see. So here's your fortress. Now you're gonna notice some unique. We have the trebuchet emplacement. So I was looking at this and I was thinking, this is kind of a useless upgrade in a defensive position, right? Like why would you ever care enough to have a trebuchet on your keep? It can only do damage to other buildings. But if you build a forward keep in somebody else's base, right? Like I think this is where the use case could come in. Say like they have a keep you're trying to see attack. You could build a keep within trebuchet range of that keep, and then you could start launching your trebuchet emplacement from there. It takes 30 seconds to build. Could be useful in that sense. Now there's reasons to build. To have your units near the fortresses, they increase their armor of their units if you get these upgrades, and you can also increase your gold generation from your relics in your monasteries if you build them within the aura of the keep, right, of the fortress as they call it in this case. Also affects your gold generation from sacred sites and the pilgrims that are going to be going to the sacred sites. You can get that, by the way. You can get the pilgrims, I believe, from your town center here. You see here, you can research the pilgrims to start spawning every 60 seconds. And then each fortress you make, you can add more pilgrims. So probably more used in 1v1, I assume. I'm not sure how the Civ's going to do in FFA just because of this pilgrim feature. It doesn't seem like it's necessarily going to be the best, right? And then you can grant Sanctuary, which gives you additional pilgrims, I guess. Okay, so we covered all these barracks units. Did we talk about? We're still in the we're still in the feudal age here. The last thing here is the iron clamps reinforcing walls. Reduces the damage the walls take from gunpowder units, which is actually seems kind of useful. Obviously cannons and stuff like that are going to be annoying, but that's later on. It's kind of specific though, so I don't know if I would bother with this one. Just like extra upgrade that you probably wouldn't get unless you were just trying to get all the upgrades with tons of resources. Now here's our archery range. We have our archers, crossbowmen, typical ones, but then we have a unique crossbowman. Now this one seems like it costs a lot of gold compared to the other crossbowmen. You can see here 100 gold, so kind of expensive. But this one it's good at effective against like maybe all melee infantry. I'm not sure how it. Obviously, a crossbowman is typically good against armored instead of against light. But this one seems to be against all melee infantry. It's going to be solid. So we'll see. We'll see what the difference is. The price, I don't like the price there though. Of course, a little bit expensive. This one is actually kind of interesting because it doesn't cost gold. Of course, in FFA, this is what we care about. We want units that do not cost gold, right? Trash units that are very good. And this one is a range cavalry that throws a javelin. So we're gonna have a javelin thrower on that's mounted. Finally, this is gonna be crazy. So this is gonna be anti-ranged unit. And it also has high ranged armor. So it's gonna be great at countering ranged units. So that will be really nice to have. If you have a unit that counters like this right here, right? Like it counters melee infantry, and then you have one that counters range. This would be a good combination of units, right? So we'll test that out and see how that works. That looks very interesting. Typical horseman, and then of course you've got your version of the knight, which is going to be cheaper than a regular one, but it gains health from nearby heavy cavalry. So I'm not sure if this is additive or if it's just like a buff, like you get one buff. But we'll see how that works. It's very interesting for sure. And then we have the Templar Brother, which is a very expensive unit, a much more gold heavy unit. That is like your heavy cavalry. You have two different types of heavy cavalry in the once you get to Imperial. You'll also have the other one. So this one is going to be very good against melee units allegedly, and then this one is going to be very good and has melee armor. This one is going to be having ranged armor. So they're both heavy cavalry. One's just better against melee, one against range. So you can see kind of from the units here. Let's cover this upgrade real quick. Gain 2 charge damage per nearby charging heavy cavalry. So I guess that's additive too. Maybe that'll be interesting if you have a whole swarm of them. The units in this civilization are very specialized. It seems like you basically want to be able to scout your opponent, and you want to be able to build the proper unit to, basically the proper units to counter what your opponents are going to be having. So this is kind of awkward in FFA because you're going to be fighting multiple opponents, and they're going to have different compositions. So because this civ is so specialized, it might be difficult, I think, to get the right kind of composition out in order to fight, like all the different types of civs you're going to be up against, right? Now in the monastery, we have a unique thing here. We have the fanaticism, Templars, Brothers, and Commandery units gain 10% damage when below 50% health, 30% damage. Wait a minute. And 30% when below 25. Okay, below 20%. Okay, so it's like a little upgrade there if they're low health. It's kind of similar to, I believe, maybe HRE has something like that. But anyways, you can see no, like we mentioned before, no cannons, no gunpowder units at all. The university does have some unique upgrades here though for this civ, which is interesting. The first one we see here is the counterweight defensives. Trebuchet weapons gain additional projectiles. Very expensive upgrade though, so I'm not sure how that's going to work, if you're going to even bother. This other one though, however, the crossbows are able to load stronger bolts, slightly increased range, and increased damage. So this is crazy because not only do you have this upgrade for crossbowmen, you also have the normal upgrade of incendiary arrows, right? So you can make your crossbowmen extremely powerful with this civilization. You also have another upgrade for your soldiers. They get light cavalry gain +2 armor. So you can get your cavalry upgraded with more armor here, in addition to biology. So there are more upgrades here. This civilization does have a lot of different upgrades in it, a lot of different things. Very specialized civ. I think it could be interesting FFA. We'll have to see how it pans out. There's just a lot of unique units, a lot of unique upgrades, and an interesting playstyle. I don't know how the like I mentioned, the pilgrims are going to be very effective in FFA. I just don't see it. But we'll see. If you're lucky, maybe you can make something happen there. So that's it for this first Civ. Let's talk about the other one, the House of Lancaster. So this one is the English variant Civ that's being added today, and they have they're not as there's not as many unique units. They're a little bit it's a little more simple here. We won't have to go too deep into it. But the big thing here the first thing I noticed was that they have this in feudal age, they can build these manors. So these manors are going to give you passive gold, passive wood and passive food, and increase your max pop like a house. So you can see the cost is both wood and stone, just like a town center will be. So you're gonna have to see how effective it is to balance, getting your extra town center versus getting manors. Looking at this, that is a lot of wood and food per minute. I think that's a lot. So I want to say you might. It's tough to say. Maybe you just get your second town center and then you get one or two of these, or you just skip your second town center and you just get some of these. But I don't know which is gonna be better. It depends, I guess, short term versus long term, what you're aiming for and how much you can afford to. How greedy can you be? I also don't know how many manors you can make until you upgrade. That's gonna be. Thank you, Tyler, for the sub. Appreciate it, brother. Welcome back. Here we are. So this is going to be, I'm not sure how we're going to balance this. This is going to be, you might, if you could afford it, obviously you could just, replace this with your house, right? Like you could just, every time you need 10 more population, you just dump another manor down. But there's going to be a limit. It says here, as you age up with unique technologies. So there's going to be a build limit on that. We're going to find out today when we play the Civ what that is. And that will determine what you're able to do, right? Obviously, it always pays off to be greedy in FFA. When you can be. So if you're in the corner, you got the corner boom, I imagine you're going to go straight up to as many manors as you can make, right? All right, so capital town centers, or let's see, before we go into that, let's talk about this. Town centers spawn 4 sheep upon completion. Villagers gather 25% faster from sheep. So this is going to incentivize you to obviously get, I would say, like one, maybe even 2 scouts out right away. You cannot build a stables until feudal with this Civ, so you're gonna have to use your town center to build the scouts, which means you might just be able to build one. If you can get a second scout out, if you get some quick early access to a lot of food, might be nice to do that. And then so that's gonna be nice. So probably definitely worth getting an extra town center, especially because you get some sheep there, 4 free sheep, very nice. And then capital town centers fire extra arrows at villagers. They wield short bows when attacking units, so that's nice. Kind of like English fills. They'll have the same, but they'll have short bows. Yeah, I think that's the same as the English fills actually, and this is also the same. I believe this technology name looks unique to me. I haven't seen this before, but this looks almost exactly like what English has. Now, keeps grant free Earl Guards. We'll talk about these Earl Guards. These are one of the new units. They're the unique units they're adding, and they each active keep grants +1 damage to these and a maximum of +4. Shipwrights. So your docks are going to be a little better with this Civ. They're going to be cheaper, increasing efficiency. I believe that's just the speed at which units are produced, and then reduces the construction cost by 10%. Now there's this unique unit. Let's look here at the archery range. We can check for any unique upgrades. I don't think there are any here. Oh, here we go. We got one unique upgrade. Equip your yeoman. This is an imperial upgrade though. Yeah, and it's going to be improve your yeomans and your spearmans with extra melee armor. Interesting. That looks pretty useful. Very nice. Always good. These armor upgrades are always great. Make your units a lot more efficient. So the yeoman. Now this unit, I don't know how they're going to balance this unit, because it's like the English longbowman has long range, but the drawback is it moves slow. This unit has long range and it moves fast. So I don't know how this is balanced. Maybe it has a slow attack speed or something like that. Maybe it has less health. I don't know. We'll see. This just seems kind of busted though. So we'll find out, guys. I don't know what the deal is with this unit. You can also upgrade this ability, the synchronized shot. It basically shoots like a volley in an area, I believe. So they have like an AoE attack, which is going to make them even crazier. And that's going to be insane. So the other unique units, let's take a look at our stables here. We've got our horsemen, so this doesn't seem very good, right? Like our horsemen cost gold instead of wood. Not good, right? We don't like to see that in FFA. Typically, I mean, if you have an unlimited gold source, it's fine, right? It's no big deal. If you have relics, if you have secured a trade or something, if you're on mega random and there's tons of gold everywhere, and you're fine. It's fine for early game, but as you go into late game, obviously, even though this isn't much gold, I still like to see horsemen costing gold. It doesn't sound good, right? These units are different from horsemen. They're cheaper, right? Their total resources cost is less, but it's still gold. And now we have the regular knight, typical. Okay, so now let's look at our landmarks. We forgot to talk about landmarks for the Civ. So you have your Abbey of Kings is your normal. It's like your like the English Abbey of Kings, but this one you can build up to 4 of them. And instead of they do heals nearby friendly units that are combat. The Abbey does, so it takes the ability away from the king, I think, and gives it to the building itself. But it also, instead of having a king aura that heals your units, it's going to increase their max health. So you want to have at least one of these, if not 4 of them, built. The first one's going to be free, just like the English one, and then you're going to build more. You want to have maybe a couple to keep the aura in case one of them dies or whatever, right? It's like one of those units that you want to have within your army. The other thing, if you don't go for the Abbey, you can choose to go for this, which is it's a defensive landmark, which could be useful. I don't know what the muster is going to do. It says muster units once per age up. So you can see what that does. We'll find out. But here we go. So in feudal age, you can levy 2 demi-lancers, an additional 1 for each manor that you have. And then this one in castle age, okay, it's going to cost you resources, but you can levy 8 yeomans, an additional 1 for each manor. That seems expensive. Huh. How much are yeomen to make though, right? They're not that much, right? Yeah. So that seems excessively expensive. Maybe if you're desperate and you have a ton of resources, you're under attack, you want to build units this way, but man, 8 yeomans. I mean, if you have a lot of manors, I can see that being better, but still 600 wood, 600 gold, when you could easily make 8 of these, for a lot cheaper. I don't really get what the deal is there. And then we have the final one per manor. So 1 per manor, okay. So this one is probably obviously good if you have a ton of manors in the end game. I don't know how many manors you can make. We'll have to see how that works, how that plays out. But right now, these things don't seem very cost effective. So that's your feudal age up, right? Now let's talk about the next one. So you have your White Tower. It's the same White Tower as English has, but then you have the King's College. The King College, instead of being like an extra town center, like your other English landmark in Age 3, it's going to be houses unique technologies, and it's going to reduce the research cost of all technologies by 15%, which is pretty nice. So here's all your unique technologies, a bunch of new stuff we've never seen before. And one is going to increase your charge damage by 150% and production speed by 100%. So that's insane. If you're going to make Hobilars, it's the horseman, right? That's going to be for sure what you want, right? I think a lot of people are going to be building this King's College over the White Tower. Obviously, even if the White Tower is still strong, you want to try these new upgrades out, right? These are going to be important to test out. So this one is going to increase the 6 bonus damage against enemy armored units, which is pretty strong, I would say. Yeah, that's pretty nice against any armored unit. It's going to do a lot better. You're gonna want that if you're going into those units. And then this one is larger trebuchets and increase the range by 2 and health by 50%. I mean, do we really need more range for our trebuchets? I don't think we do. Or health, we don't really care because we're protecting them with units, or they're either dying or they're not being attacked, right? So probably not too important. Now this one is interesting, right? This is going to make your hand cannons cost 25% less, and you can train them in the castle age, which is insane, right? It costs 600 gold, which is a lot, but I think if you maybe I'm not sure if this is already showing you with the discount or not, but if this is discounted a bit, I could definitely see this being insanely powerful, especially as this scales in the late game. 25% less cost on your hand cannoneers. If you're just going massing hand cannoneers, that's going to be nuts. And this one here, Increase your troops effectiveness and metal bonus damage plus 20% to all your troops. I assume that's insane. Very expensive, of course. These are very expensive upgrades, especially for Castle Age, but they're also very effective. So I think you're definitely going to be getting them eventually, even if you wait till Imperial. These are going to be very important upgrades to get. Now this is for your boats. We already talked about the boats being better in the Civ, I believe, and now you have an upgrade that makes them even more insane. That's insane. This upgrade makes me think that late game, if you're on like an island map, this upgrade is going to just boost you to the next level, right? You're going to be the strongest Civ on water potentially. That's a lot of power right there. Now, Imperial Age upgrades. Let's take a look at our Siege Workshop first. All the normal units, nothing new here. We just have the Culverin as our cannon. The monastery is all the same, nothing new there. The keep is all the same. Okay, so Berkshire and Wingard. So Berkshire is the same, I think, right? A keep with powerful incendiary arrows. I don't know what this last comment is here. Increase the max damage granted by House Unified by 2/6 plus 6. I don't know what that means, but Wingard. So we have unique units in the Wingard Palace here. We have our Wingard army, which I believe is the same. That's the only one that's the same as normal English. The rest, you get your Demon Lancers and your Hoblars. So this one, I don't know if it's very good. I was looking at what the Demo Lancer is because you can't actually build it at any of your. It's going to be unique to the Wingard, right? It's a special heavy cavalry, and it's actually, as it says here, access only via landmarks. The Demon Lancer is durable cavalry unit with low damage. A durable cavalry unit with low damage. What does that even mean? Okay, so it's a tank, but it doesn't do anything very useful. I don't know. And why would I want 6 of them and 2 horsemen? Maybe it does some damage. Hopefully it doesn't do too low of damage, but we'll see how that one works. That could be interesting. Hopefully maybe it has torch damage at least, if not good damage against, when it actually fights units. I don't know what that means, but we'll have to test it out. And this one is going to be 8 Spearmen and an Earl's Guard. I don't think I talked about the Earl's Guard. I might have skipped the barracks here. Let's go back. Talk about that real quick. Here's your barracks units. So we got the Earl's Guard here. It's basically your man-at-arms replacement, but it sounds kind of crazy because it periodically throws daggers at nearby enemies. You can also give an upgrade to your Spearmen that reduces the armor of enemies when they attack, so make slightly better against armored units. But the dagger can be upgraded to do an AoE effect, but they throw two daggers instead of 1, and they're less accurate. So I don't know what that means, less accurate, but they're going to do AoE, a small amount of area damage. So this could be potentially insane, right? I don't know how much of an area that's going to affect, if it only hits 2 units or what they mean by that, but this unit seems pretty strong. So this might be a nice one to invest in. Though it is heavy on the Spearmen, you are going to get better Spearmen because they can, pierce through armor better with that upgrade. And this one also seems kind of interesting. This is insane. 2 Ribalquins and 1 Calverin for only 800 wood and 850 gold. So basically, I think you're getting 2 for the price of 3. 3 for the price of 2. And then, that's going to be pretty nutty because obviously, Ribalquins are great in these games. When you're not facing ranged units, or if you have units to protect them, they're very powerful. If you're up against melee, melee only, or horses or whatever, those are going to be insane. Maybe less insane as they used to be now, that ranged units can actually destroy them pretty easily. So maybe not the best, but I think this Civ is pretty good overall. If I had, it doesn't have any unique technologies here in the university. It's pretty straightforward. It's very much like English. I think this one has the potential to be better than the other one. Because of these manners boosting the economy are very powerful, and there was a technology. I guess that's probably I don't think I went over with the wood. I guess it's on the other civilization. I forgot to mention. Let's go back real quick. Yeah, it was about the wood gathering. Here we go. Villagers can automatically deposit wood without a lumber camp. So basically, it's like the Rus fishing boat, I believe, where these wood gatherers, these peasants will just instantly return the wood. I think that's what that means. And the wood is gathered 50% faster in each age. So that's going to be a nice boon to this civilization. Their siege units are also going to cost less, but they don't have access to can gunpowder units as we mentioned. So this civ does have some nice things here. Like I think that's going to be pretty strong. You're going to want to build your town center near a obviously near a big forest would be good. But I think like I said, they have more unique units. This civ I think is just more straightforward. It has, it can boost its economy with the manors. The only thing I didn't really like I mentioned, I believe, was this, right? But it's not that much gold, so maybe you can get away with just making these units early on, and if you go into Wingard, you can make them for a discount. Let's see, so 200 gold for 6 and 2. I guess the demo. We'll have to see how strong the demo lancer is. I don't know how powerful that is, but you only cost 200 gold for 2 when you get 8 units. So maybe you'll make it that way. But yeah, I think both these civs seem kind of decent, but not great for FFA. This one I think seems a little better than the other one, but just off the top of my head, we haven't keep in mind we haven't played any of them yet. I'm going to get into that right now, but this is the end of this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed the preview for the new civs, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.